Good morning. I think we are live. I'm just trying to make sure I got everything set where I need it. All right, give me 1 second. We're actually going to be talking about a little topic this morning that I think is really, really beneficial to all of us. It's understanding how we get information on the web and what's kind of changing and what's being done to prevent us from getting some of the information that, frankly, we need. So you should be able to see my screen. You should be able to see me. I'm Dr. Akiba Green. Good morning. My practice, Lake Norman Integrative Wellness, formerly Lake Norman Health and Wellness. We're talking about how Google is censoring valid health information. So what is Google doing? Anyone who's learned how to manage Hashimoto's hypothyroidism, like me, like my clinic, or any other autoimmune disease, will tell you that they had to learn it on their own. The vast majority of doctors either do not test for or do not adequately treat Hashimoto's. If you are diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, a lot of times you have to go to the web to get the information that you need. Hashimoto's is an autoimmune disease that attacks and damages the thyroid gland. It can lead to weight gain, hair loss, fatigue, depression, other symptoms. Now, the problem we have here is the ability to find health advice backed by peer-reviewed scientific literature, which is what you want. You want evidence-based, good research. Well, that ability to get that information is seriously compromised due to censorship, or what they call blacklisting, by Google. And Google is censoring legitimate information, and instead they're sending people to conventional, medical, pharmaceutical-oriented sources of information, such as WebMD. Google calls this the Google Medic Update, and it targets non-compliant health and wellness-related websites, and it's been resulting in up to a 60% loss of online traffic. Google bots have artificial intelligence, and they're literally crawling the internet looking for these websites failing to comply with what they call EAT. This acronym means expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthy. And if you don't comply, your website's difficult to find on Google search engines, and you'll be blacklisted, and you can't find the information. And this has been a real huge problem. You know, they're claiming they want people to only access EAT websites, and again, you know, authoritativeness, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Well, since most doctors do not adequately test for or treat autoimmune disease, such as Hashimoto's hypothyroidism, well, there's no drug for autoimmunity, so they don't treat it, they don't test for it. So people have to be, again, prescribed maybe thyroid hormone replacement medication, and that is often necessary, absolutely. Synthroid, Armour, Natrothyroid, so on and so forth. But since the doctors don't test it, don't treat it, then patients have to go and look up this information on their own. And of course, taking that hormone replacement therapy for your thyroid, for example, it doesn't address the ongoing and progressively worsening immune attack on the thyroid gland. It doesn't address the immune system attacking the body. That's why many people don't feel they get better when they start taking thyroid hormone. And I think the lack of adequate autoimmune care in conventional medicine means millions of people go undiagnosed or misdiagnosed. In most cases, we know autoimmune destruction has to be advanced and severe before an autoimmune disease can be diagnosed or treated with steroids, surgery, or other methods that are invasive and riddled with side effects and problems. It has to be so far gone before the traditional medical model will find it and do anything about it. For instance, nerve damage has to be significantly advanced before conditions such as multiple sclerosis or type 1 diabetes are caught, while patients end up suffering for years as a result. Now, this is interesting. There are studies that show that there's an inherent sexism in conventional medicine. I've never really heard this term before in doing research for this post. Women account for more than 3/4 of autoimmune patients. Yet when women go to their doctors with complaints of autoimmune symptoms, most are not adequately tested. Instead, they're told they have depression or anxiety, they need to lose weight or exercise, or that they're making it up and that it's just the aging process. So literally, they have been told their symptoms are not real or are not that big of a deal. This happens primarily to women who go for autoimmune disease, and this is a problem. This is wrong. So until now, if you have Hashimoto's, millions of people have been able to successfully learn how to manage their Hashimoto's hypothyroidism and other autoimmune conditions through online sources based on peer-reviewed science. There are Facebook groups that are still out there that you can get great information from, but there used to be tons and tons of websites that you could also be able to find stuff. You could also find healthcare practitioners like my office who are knowledgeable on how to apply this science to help manage your chronic condition. Now, note that just because something is published in the scientific literature, it doesn't mean your local medical doctor is either aware of it or supports it. In fact, there's a huge gulf between the scientific literature and the doctor's office, with pharmaceutical companies wielding significant influence over doctors' practices and education. So now, Google is limiting our access, Darth Vader, right? Google is this big bad, in this case, big bad enemy. It is. They're limiting our access to legitimate information. They're redirecting searches toward conventional sources, and this is extremely limited when it comes to chronic illness. So you have to be careful. There are opportunists and snake oil salesmen that abound on the internet, and consumers have to do their own due diligence in rooting out valid sources of information and good communities to help them on their healthcare journey. But corporate-driven public controversies lend a hand in the Google censorship. And what we're seeing is, rather than looking at the peer-reviewed literature on the links between environmental toxins, brain inflammation, and the developing child's brain, for example, complex neuroimmune topics have been reduced to crude black and white arguments that have no basis in relevant neurophysiological mechanisms. So Google is penalizing many science-backed integrative health sites, and they no longer show up on the first page. And there are other search engines, though, that you can turn to. DuckDuckGo is a great one. If you have not experienced it, it has a tremendous amount of integrative or alternative or natural health information you can go to. Bing and Yahoo still have information. Another one is Ecosia, which is a search engine that actually plants trees based on your searches. That's kind of cute and neat. But I would say, honestly, DuckDuckGo is probably one of your go-tos, and they still rank sites legitimately. So there's over 1 billion health questions a day that come through Google. They're routing those searches away from such well-known sites as Mercola.com, Dr. Joe Mercola's website, one of the top websites in the world for alternative health news, Paleo Hacks, Bulletproof, Green Med Info, Self-Hacked, Kelly Brogan, Livestrong, Cancer Tutor is another one. And what's happening is they're routing it away, and they're sending people, when you type in a query about an alternative health, natural treatment for Hashimoto's, for example, they're routing it to sites such as WebMD, Healthline, Mayo Clinic, or other institutional sites. And yeah, these sites do offer worthwhile information, but they're not yet caught up to the science surrounding the many chronic illnesses that have become so common today. They even provide false information in some instances, especially in regards to nutritional compounds. All right, so Google's problems, they're unfairly throwing their weight around in other industries as well. And the European Union, for example, levied its third antitrust fine against Google earlier this year. So don't let Google bully you into big pharma's pipelines. If you're looking for legitimate health information sources that maybe have been blacklisted by Google, try these other websites, Bing, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, or Ecosia. In the meantime, I attend educational conferences to stay up to date on the latest research and clinical protocols to help manage autoimmune and chronic health conditions, such as Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. As the field is ever evolving, it's important to stay abreast of developments. You can contact my office if you need help managing your chronic health condition. Our contact info, our website is dr@akibagreen.com. We are not on page 1 with every technique, with every search, but we do have some good listings locally. But the reality is, you got to know where to go. And so I'm telling you, dr@akibagreen.com right on the screen. Visit us on the web. You can send me an email directly if you have questions, Akiba@dr@akibagreen.com. Our office phone number, 704-987-3993. I thank you for watching, and I hope this information was helpful for each of you.